So, since me and Norm last time failed to successfully get an episode on our thoughts on remakes across, and because I don't want to put her through that again, I'm gonna go ahead and do this one myself. Every now and then, I will still do solo episodes because, well, frankly, I bring her on topics that I think she would have something interesting or at least amusing to say. To be honest, and she cracks me up. And often has something incredibly legitimate to say, sometimes more, and articulates it better than I do. That being said, I feel like I can talk about this one today. Today we're talking about, I'm talking about my thoughts on remakes. And you'll see this is an episode of Resident Evil. Like I said, this is what we tried recording over last time. We couldn't put ourselves through that again once we realized I didn't unmute the microphone. Ugh. Anywho, so yeah, this was the Resident Evil remake that came out on PlayStation 4. For those of you who saw it, I did a Let's Play on it. For those of you who didn't saw it, it's a very, very interesting game. I never did play the remake. I was aware that it existed. And because I did play the original Resident Evil, I liked the original very much on PlayStation 1 and whatnot. And yeah, this game, I really liked it. And to think that this was a prettied up, this was the PS4 version, a prettied up re-release of the remake that came out on GameCube, if I remember correctly. And it didn't look that much different. In fact, this pretty much is the exact same game with slightly beefed up graphics, slightly. And, I really just like remakes. I do. Because, unlike a reboot, which y'all know my opinion on, I generally do not like reboots at all. A remake is when you take a game that has already existed, and you modernize it, I guess is the best way to put it. You modernize an older game, an older classic. For example, I can't imagine modernizing Silent Hill 2 for that matter. I can't imagine modernizing Half-Life, for example. Some games you just can't, you shouldn't remake. Whereas today I'm going to be talking about a couple of games that appropriately, it sounds like they are officially confirmed to be in the works of a remake, towards making a remake, or rumored. And of course, let's start off with the appropriate first one I had in mind, because this is Resident Evil 1 remake. The Resident Evil 2 remake apparently is a thing. I'm actually really looking forward to that. I liked Resident Evil 2 a lot. To be fair, I actually did like Resident Evil 1 more, but I did like Resident Evil 4 the best. I would like to see more Kennedy, Leon Kennedy. Why not, right? I'm looking forward to it. I'm not specifically going to be talking about what to necessarily going to be talking about what to expect in those games per se, so much as that I'm just giving examples of remakes I'm looking forward to and remakes that have already been done that I really did like. Resident Evil 2, that remake, I'm really looking forward to that. Final Fantasy 7, despite the multi-installment thing, I will go and point out Final Fantasy 7, when it first came out, it was on multiple discs. Because at the time, the PlayStation 1 just couldn't handle that much information on those discs. And so even if it is episodic, as long as you pay for all of them at once, and none of this $100 for all episode thing, if it's $60 and you get all episodes as they get doled out, I guess that's fine. I'm willing to, I'm down with that. Even if it is quote-unquote episodic like a Telltale game or what have you. I'm not sure what it is. I'm really not sure. I haven't actually done all my research yet. I've seen other people's takes on it. I've seen other people's videos on it. Maximilian Dude, for example. And, whenever you get news that sounds just absolute batshit crazy, the thing is to remain calm. I think getting enraged about anything is only when it's, like, officially confirmed and you see it and you can smell it and it's real. And this is all just speculation so far. We don't, at least I don't. If someone wants to leave a comment explaining exactly what's going down, be my guest. I'd love to hear it because, like I said, I'm kind of busy doing research on other things at the moment. I do try to stay up to date. I try to stay current. And I love reading about the past. That's, I really like Silent Hill 2. I really like, I keep mentioning that. It's just a really good example. It's not the best example, but it's a good one. Which is funny because here we are talking about Resident Evil, and Silent Hill, I guess, is I wouldn't say a competitor. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. I'm moving on. Anywho, so yeah, Final Fantasy VII. Whatever they do with it, it sounds like it's going to be a multi-game thing. I'm looking forward to it. Back to Resident Evil 2. That's one. I can't imagine the behind the shoulder thing for it. Actually, I don't know. I kind of hope they do it like this, where it's that fixed camera position and all that. I'd prefer if they kept it that way. I did like this. I'm looking forward to playing Zero real soon, coming in January. Resident Evil Zero. That is a game I've never even played, and I'm looking forward to that. That's another re-release, by the way, because apparently that was also another GameCube game that was really, really good. And I'm kind of actually, hold on, I'm getting off topic again. Talk about how good remakes are, is what I'm trying to say. When you modernize a game, okay, hold on. Here's an example of like when you take a game and you just tweak it a little bit. I kind of don't like that. Like in certain instances, back to Silent Hill 2. Actually, yeah, I do have a point for bringing that game up. The point is being when they re-released Silent Hill 2 on PlayStation 3 as part of a bundle. I think it was also with Silent Hill 3. And they quote-unquote HD'd it up. They added new voice acting, which I didn't like. Troy Baker, I love you, but if I remember correctly, it was Troy Baker that replaced James Sunderland. And they replaced all the voices to try and sound more professional, and it threw me off. The port of the PlayStation 3 port of it is awful. There's a lot of things that was changed for the worse. And that is an example of a re-release. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about re-releases while I'm at it. That is an example of a re-release done wrong. A re-release done kind of right was Grim Fandango, because no one nowadays could get a hold of being able to find a way to play that game anyway. I heard it's very hard to get that game running on like modern computers and all that. And I say kind of a good re-release because I heard there was a lot of glitches with it, and I experienced some of them firsthand. In fact, I almost had to quit the series. Luckily, I did look up online and found a workaround the glitch as opposed to waiting for a patch to show up. So that was awesome. Anywho, but that is a re-release done right, because that is simply because the game's so unavailable to so many people, and it's such a good game, and it gotta remind ourselves. And they did the HD thing right. They did the whole update because kind of like the Tales of the Monkey Island thing, the Secret of Monkey Island, excuse me. They had that button which let you switch back and forth between the new graphics and the old graphics. I love shit like that so much, and that's re-releasing done right, and remaking done right is like Resident Evil, like here, and then re-releasing the remake. Like I said, I can't fairly compare the GameCube version to the PS4 version. Adding stuff like the non-tank controls, I guess, is one thing. Although I didn't like it. I like the tank controls because it feels more natural when the camera switches on you and you're holding up and then all of a sudden you're facing left and then you're still holding up but you're moving left. It throws me off. Anywho, moving on. Here, let me fan out here for a second. Be a fangasm out here for a second. Yeah, I'm mumbling today. Apparently, Xbox One, the president of Microsoft, or the president of the Xbox branch, I don't exactly know, Phil Spencer has supposedly announced that he'd like to get his hands on KOTOR and make a remake of that. That being said, that would be awesome. Here's the thing, I don't intend to get an Xbox One, and if it does end up, if this is true and it ends up an Xbox One exclusive, I would kind of be bummed out. But at the same time, I would be glad that such a thing exists and people, even if it is just the Microsoft crowd, get to experience it. Oh, and PC. I'm sure they'll add it to PC because, Microsoft PC, blah, blah, blah. And moving on, though. That being said, I don't think EA, because I think EA owns the property right now. I don't think they'll, because they, in conjunction with BioWare, I don't think they'll sell it just to Xbox One, because EA's thought process would be money. Oh, boy. Xbox One wants to make us money. Oh, let's do it. Wait, hold on. There's this other console called a PS4. Ooh, more money. Let's give it to them too. And for once, this would be a case where EA's money grubbing would actually be to the advantage of the consumer, if you ask me, instead of just being, just strictly a soulless cash cow. I would love a KOTOR remake because, well, it depends on what they do. Like, I'm going to go ahead and talk very real specific here. KOTOR, which, for those of you who don't know, is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. KOTOR is the abbreviation. And it depends on how they do it. Like, for example, if it's just a prettied up, I would still buy that because, I don't have very many ways of getting my hands on the game right now. My old Xbox One original, my Xbox original copy finally died off last year. I ritualistically played that game once a year, ever since I bought it because it's just so good. And it's just my number one favorite game of all time. I'm willing to bet that. Or I can resolutely confirm that with myself. And, it could still change. That could still change. You know how finicky I am with my top 10s. I keep threatening to make it or whatnot. One day, I'll have my top 10 out. For the, if there's enough of a want for it, I would love to do it. Either way, I'm digressing, excuse me, and I'm also flustering here. The stuff I would want to see in a KOTOR remake is, I don't care if they just prettied up the graphics. Like I said, graphics aren't a big deal for me. Unless you're representing a franchise and you do want to, like Battlefront. I could see where graphics would count, only because it's like, that it brings the franchise to life. If it's a whole new IP, if it's a IP based off a non-existing franchise, I don't really give a gosh darn about graphics. But with the things I'd like to see is, keep the, maybe seeing it, do that thing they're doing with the Final Fantasy remake, kind of like go away from the turn-based combat. That'd be kind of nice to see that in a KOTOR. Just a little bit flashier combat, but still make it meaningful, and it's not just hack and slash till you die, or till you kill your opponent, or till you get killed. Just work on something like that. I'm kind of just, I don't really have a very specific mindset as to what I want to see. I mean, I do have some specifics I want to see, but I'm not too finicky about it. Just whatever they would make, if they make it, I would love to see. I would love to see a KOTOR remake, period. Remakes done right. Actually, now that I think about it, I can't think of that much more than Resident Evil. I haven't played a whole lot of remakes, but every one of the remakes I have played, and re-releases for that matter, for the most part on re-releases, they are a good thing, I think. They are, when it's like a movie, that's kind of different. Because a movie is non-interactive. A movie is like let's say if you try to remake The Godfather, is that even? I think that's blasphemy. If a film critic was watching this, I think I'd deserve a special circle in hell for ever suggesting something like that. But it's not the same thing. A remake of a game can be special, especially if there was a lot of faults to the first game. Like when they re-released Doom 3. Doom 3 was on Xbox One, or excuse me, I keep calling it One, Xbox Original and PC, and it was great. And there was differences with the Xbox version. I only just recently found out, to my surprise, believe it or not. And it was kind of like the Xbox version was condensed, but the PC version is pretty much the re-release, which they re-released it for PS3 and whatnot, for digital download, and you could buy a physical copy. And there was just my point I'm trying to make is they kept some of the weird stuff in that game for posterity, I think. Is what they're going for. Like how the bodies would fly. I mean, they still added a flashlight to the gun, which, I mean, a no-brainer, duh, right? But in a way that did rob it of some of the horror. It is kind of hard to feel like it's a horror game when you're armed to the teeth with the UACs, just best of the best weaponry. But yeah, that's a re-release done right, in a case where they also kept some of the design, the odd design choices on purpose, and I think that was for the best, if you ask me. Although, that is also a case, though. It wasn't a bad game, but I didn't really see the point of re-releasing Doom 3. That's one of those ones where it's like, it could go either way, but it was one of those ones I didn't think we needed so much. I think the older the game and the harder it is to get your hands on is when you start doing the re-release thing. Whereas a game that's, newer, like when they re-release a game that was on PS3 onto PS4, like the Last of Us, for example, once again, it's kind of the same thing. Why bother? I mean, I guess it's so... For anyone who didn't play it on the PS3, anyone on PS4 could now get their hands on it. But it's like, I think that's one of those things where, it's really just kind of a cash grab at this point. I don't know. I guess I'm in no position to judge that, really. It's really up to what the developers are going for and what the consumer wants. And if there was a demand for it, I can understand that. See, that's the thing. If there's a demand for it, there's been a huge demand for remakes like Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy 7. And I've never really heard of a demand for a KOTOR remake. That's just me having wishful thinking. But yeah, I'm on board for that. That'd be kind of sweet. I would really, really, really like that. And yeah, I hope you guys all want it too, just as much as I do.